Welcome to the Literati Scene with Smoki Bacon and Dick Concannon, and co-hosts Suzanne McDonald and Joanna DeTillo. So stay tuned.
Our guest today is Michael Annese, who has put together a book called The Victory Cycle. But it's more than a book. It's a how-to. It has a certain inspirational, and we even have a cheerleader in victory itself. You use victory as an acronym for your story. But tell us first, you grew up in this area. You were in the music business for a while, and now you're down in Florida.
Yes, yes.
Tell us, you are writing now, and tell us about your qualifications, because you've had quite a history in itself.
Yeah, I originally am from Lynn area, North Shore. I was there for about 20 years, and then I had moved down to Florida. Before that, I had graduated from Lynn Vocational Technical Institute, which is Lynn Tech in Lynn, and I had graduated high school, and I also went and took my EMT, Emergency Medical Technician course there at night when I was in my senior year. So I always liked the emergency medical services, and so forth, and trying to do that. But when I moved to Florida, I got re-involved with music. I was a drummer. I started playing drums when I was the age of 9, and I always loved playing the drums. It was a safe place for me. I felt comfortable there. So I went into the drums full time, and I started to play aggressively and really dedicated myself to it. We made some records and so forth and tried to make it big, so to speak. I went to New York City, tried out for a big record company and so forth, and as luck would have it, it didn't succeed. So I kind of carried myself back and picked myself up, and we went back. The band broke up, and I kind of found myself back looking at the emergency medical services and the fire department specifically, and I decided that I wanted to aim at that for a while, and I wanted to go after that because I thought it was a very good career to choose, and it was very wholesome, and I felt good about helping people. Along the way, though, what I started to do was read books about personal development, because I'd had that, put everything I could have into being a musician. It didn't happen. So when it didn't happen, I found myself down and out. I put everything I could into it, and then when I didn't succeed, I felt very bad. So I started reading these books, and as I read them, things were just sticking to me, and I felt, wow, this feels great. Things would work for me. I would think positively, and I started to develop, a way to crawl out of this funk, so to speak, myself. And I continued to do that for about more than 20 years. And throughout my career as a firefighter, I became a lieutenant, and I became a captain, and now I'm a battalion chief down there. And so I learned a lot about leadership through the fire service, as well as my readings. And I went to school. I got my bachelor's degree in public safety administration. I also studied up at the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. We toured the battlefields of Gettysburg and so forth, and talked about leadership and what drives people forward. And I just kind of felt as though I wanted to give back beyond the fire service. And so I started to think I wanted to write a book. I wanted to write something. I wanted to put my twist on this and maybe help people out and try to aim at something that could maybe be even beyond the fire service to helping society and people. So I started collecting ideas and writing down little ideas, and eventually it blossomed into this book, and that's where I'm at today. I kind of put the book out not too long ago, September, and I'm out touring trying to promote it.
Now, you have an acronym, VICTORY,
Right.
Which is a symbol for all the elements that you feel are necessary to move forward in this. Let's get started with V.
Sure, okay. And I'll tell you a little bit background with victory, the word itself. I didn't start out with that. Originally the book was supposed to be called The Incredible You. That was the original title I was working with, And because I wanted people to revisit their own selves, and say, what did I want to be when I grow up, so to speak? And that doesn't mean you have to be a child to feel this way. You can be, an older person. You can start to do anything. So And I thought about that, but as I developed the ideas, I thought about how would people feel when they succeeded. And I thought, wow, victory. The word victory stands out to me because when you're championing, you're on top, you're victory. Just like, you know, when the New England Patriots win hopefully another championship here, we're all going to feel that victory, right? So I started off with that and I thought victory. And I thought, what acronym, what could I come up with? And what could I really get there? And I thought the first point is to start at is a vision. Okay, so V is for vision. And a vision, in essence, in the book I describe a little, it's like an exercise. And I talk about going to a mountaintop. And you go to this mountaintop and you get lost. And you have a chance to sit down and slow down and think about what would you do if you had an opportunity to start life over again. Because I think a lot of times in this world, we're looking at our phones, we're answering emails, everything's going crazy. The TV has multiple pieces of information, so we don't slow down enough to say, what do I want to do? So that's what I tried to intend with the vision, because if you can see, feel, and touch what you want to be and really focus that in really deeply, you get an idea of what you want to become and how you want to treat yourself and how you want to chase down your dreams. And I think that's critical. Victory is based on the vision.
And we go to I.
I, right. I is for inspiration. Because I think that once you figure out, what your vision is, and by the way, the vision really is your compelling purpose, okay? When we move to I, inspiration, that is actually your why. As to why do you want to do what you're doing, okay? Because without your inspiration, knowing how deep, you can't attach your vision without feeling and spirit. And I think that that's where inspiration comes in. What inspires you to drive for this vision, this compelling purpose? And that's where I takes you.
And we go to C.
Go right through?
You
Sure.
know,
Okay, I'll go right through the whole thing.
Way to go.
So
Go ahead.
C is for commitment. And I think that commitment is where you have to really lock down your how, because you have to stay committed. And when I say commitment, I don't mean committed in a sense that, yeah, I'm sort of going to try this. I mean, you're going to commit to yourself that you're going to do this no matter what. It's like I say in the book that it's like having the killer instinct, the warrior's mindset. I mean, there is no way that I'm going to fail. I have to do this. It is not, I want to kind of do this. I am absolutely going to do that. And that builds on your inspiration, and it backs up into your vision. So everything stacks on itself, and that's why I said progressive cycle. When we move next to T, which is time steps, that is in essence your plan. So you can go through everything, but if you don't have a good plan and steps to get there, you're just going to stall out and get confused and lost. So in time steps, you start, in essence, today. I mean, you don't start like, next week I'm going to do this. You start today, right now. What am I going to do today towards my vision? And you start with today, and what am I going to do next week? And what am I going to do in 2 weeks? What am I going to do in a month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, a year, basically. And you sketch this out in the book as an exercise, and it's broad strokes. I mean, you don't know exactly what you're going to do, but you want to plot this course. And you have a way to measure whether I'm attaining it or I'm not attaining that goal. We move then, of course, to obstacles. Obstacles naturally come up in any plan. There's always going to be something that goes wrong. So when something goes wrong, we have to prepare for those things. Unfortunately, if we prepared ourselves in our planning and everything else and come up with a good vision, we'll be able to anticipate some of these challenges that we're going to have and obstacles. And I think one of the big things I talk a lot about is fear. Everyone has fear, and that's a big obstacle, and it's going to be there no matter what. I don't care who you are, you're going to have fear. Tom Brady has fear. It happens, okay? It's just a human thing. But it's how you deal with that fear and how you take that fear and use it for your advantage, or you lose to it. So you either serve the fear or you have fear serve you. By that I mean, I talk to young firefighters, and I remember being a young firefighter myself. We'd go to a house that's on fire. Well, of course, there's fear. The house is burning. You're new at this. You're not sure what's going to happen. But if you take and look at it from the point of view from the doors, oh my gosh, I'm going to die in there, you're going to be totally distracted. What you want to do is reframe that fear into that everything's going to go right. I'm going to save a life, save property, I'm going to get out of there, I'm going to save my fire company, we're going to be okay, and I'm going to save perhaps a citizen. Okay? So you want to change that fear around and use it for your advantage. Same thing with your obstacles. As you step over an obstacle, you gain strength. And I say that's, if you'll notice on the cover of the book, there's fire. And I think that is when you build your strength. When you step over those obstacles and you fall down and you rise back up, that's when you're gaining momentum and you're getting stronger. And that's a very key point of view there. And that's when I say in the book too, it also says forge. It says forge yourself. And you have to forge yourself, because as we fall and fail, we grow, but we learn what to do and what not to do.
Well, in the book, you also leave for the individual to put their own thoughts down on each chapter.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell us about how you work that in here.
Well, I do, and I kind of, continue with obstacles. In each one of these letters, there's a little exercise there for you to write down. It's more like a workbook in a sense, and you can put down what you're going to do. After we go through, obstacles, we move then to R, which is rejoice, because after you fail and you fall, you're going to rejoice. You're going to rise up and say, man, I'm doing fantastic. You're going to feel your victory because I succeeded. I stepped over that obstacle, and I'm heading the direction I want to head in. Lastly is year-long adjustments. Okay, year-long adjustments is basically taking a look and seeing what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. I say it's like a 360 assessment, okay? And I do this on the fire service. I'm an incident commander, battalion chief. So when I pull up to a house on fire, I'm constantly looking at what's going on around that house. I'm sending people around that house, safety officers, to look at that building to see if how it's burning, if the roof is bowing, if anything's wrong, hazards and whatnot. Because I want to check and constantly check that, because I don't want that house to cave in on my crews or the resident or whatever it might be. I want to make sure that I'm constantly checking it. Same thing with your life. You want to constantly monitor where we're going, what's working, what's not working, and how we can adjust to those things. Everything's a small adjustment, because small adjustments lead to giant changes. Okay, so yes, back to in the book. Yes, there's a little exercises in each letter, and throughout the book, other places where I felt it was important too. So because it has to be written down, you have to take action. This is an action-oriented idea. It's not just read it comfortably and say, okay, good enough. You have to continuously apply yourself to this, almost daily. Really, in the morning, say, am I going to take my victory seriously today? Am I going to drive forward? Yes, I am going to do it. At the end of the day, you look at it and say, did I honor my victory? Did I take the necessary steps? It didn't have to be you moved a mountain. When I was writing this book, I would write down little bullet points of information, just ideas that I could build upon. As I built those ideas, it started to turn into pages of information. Then it grew to chapters, and it just kept building on itself. And eventually what happens is, and with victory is, as you drive your dreams, you're pushing your dreams. Okay, you're pushing everything forward. But as it takes life, as it starts to build, eventually the dream starts to drive you, and you can no longer. You're being pushed by the dream. You're being drawn to it, and that's where you want to get to be at some point.
Well, you also, as you go through the book, you quote significant people that have succeeded in their careers and so forth. Is that an inspirational element?
Absolutely, because I think that a lot of great things have been said by many great people. And it's good to remember those things, and it's good to touch on those. And that's what I try to do in the book. I try to touch on some great quotes because, these people have said some remarkable things. And I wanted to kind of bring those back to life in some ways and share with them and to give them my take on it to support what I was saying. Because, a lot of times we hear a lot of buzz and talk and so forth, but I wanted to make sure that I really make a point with this book, because it's not a long book, it's 150 pages, but it's meant to be read slowly and with feeling. And that's why I put those quotes in there, to kind of really drive the points home.
You use the word cycle. What does that mean? If we have an unfinished victory, do we recycle?
The cycle, the reason I chose a cycle is because what we focus on, and what we do every day is who we are and who we become. So if we're constantly focusing on negative, or we're constantly focusing on what's wrong in the world, then that is what you're going to be living, because that's what you're looking at all times. I mean, you have to agree, I think. Because if you're looking at bad stuff and you're just living the negative, that's your life. So by putting a cycle in place, a daily ritual, a habit, if you will, it guides you and drives you towards positive change. So the cycle is not a one-time thing. Okay, I'm going to do victory and that's it. It's a daily ritual for yourself, because you want to cycle and you want to constantly improve. I say it like this sometimes. If you're painting a chair and you paint that with paint, you put one coat on, looks good. You put 2 coats on, looks better. 3, 4, you put a lot of coats on that. Before you know it, that chair is glowing like crazy and looks fantastic because you've applied yourself over and over again to it. Same thing, with your life. You have to apply yourself regularly, because if you act on it, just like a muscle, if you work out one day, well, you're not going to be physically fit for the rest of your life. You have to work out every day. Same thing with your mind, same thing with your victory.
I noticed in your book that you talk about certain sports levels, like black belts and that sort of thing. Are you personally involved physically in developing yourself?
Yes, I trained in the martial arts most of my life. I attained the level of black belt back in 2003. And I continue to work with that at home. I also lift weights and train myself physically so that I can stay fit for the fire service as well as for my own health. So yes, it's a daily ritual there as well. I try to make sure that I'm staying healthy, eating right, and working out and staying focused. The black belt adventure was actually a really good experience for me because that's like taking yourself. Everyone walks into a karate studio and thinks, okay, I'm going to be like Bruce Lee. Well, it doesn't work that way. What you find out is to attain a black belt, you're going to be the best you can be in martial arts. Your kicks may not be to the ceiling, but you're going to eventually get the best kicks and punches that you can put forward yourself. And that's what you learn to be your best. It's your personal best. And it's the same thing with victory. It's being your personal best at all times.
Well, tell us before we go, what is your goal in putting this book together?
My goal is to just share it with as many people as I can. I mean, I would love to see people adopt this as a habit, as something that they could use for themselves. My goal is to help people. This is an honest attempt at, I wanted to just put something out there for people and that they could use. I mean, I've read, as I said, I've read many of these books. Some of them are, fantastic, and some of them are, written by great doctors and psychiatrists and all this and that. This is, in essence, really, I made it short and sweet because I wanted to get to people quickly. I wanted people to understand it and have something they could grab onto right away. Victory, as you mentioned, the word victory, you see it all the time. It's constantly there. So it's on TV, it's on billboards, it's constantly mentioned. And I think that subliminally for people, once you apply yourself to victory, you're going to see that victory reminder out there in the world constantly. And hopefully people will buy into that and say, yes, you know what, I'm going to go for my victory. And those reminders will pop up constantly.
Well, you also have a certain tie-in with your firefighting and so forth when you talk about Phoenix and rising from the ashes.
Correct.
Tell us about that.
Well, that's just exactly, because I look at it this way, everybody, I think everyone, kids, older folks, middle-aged, whatever, everyone has a small flame burning inside their heart. I think everyone has a little flicker in there, and it's something that's burning inside of them that wants to come out. I think that people need to sometimes be reborn and reminded of who they truly are. That flame kind of goes down with life. As we get older, we get busy, we're taking out the trash, we're taking out the dog, we're doing this and that. We forget about our dreams as we get older. We tell children to go for it, go for it. As we get older, we kind of get stuck in the rut of, I have to do this, and it's just a survival life, And what I'm trying to say is that take that small flame that's inside you, no matter where you are in life, blow on that small flame. Put a little bit in. We all see those nature shows where they start fire with a little stick out there and they rub it together and they go crazy trying to get the fire going, right? And it takes them hours. It's the same thing with your life. It takes time and it takes effort. But take the time to get this flame going, and then when you have that little coal that's in your chest, start blowing on it and give it the oxygen it needs to burst into flames and come to life again and bring yourself back to who you truly are.
Well, tell us, have you had some success in this? I mean, are there people out there who have worked through your 7 steps and improved their lives?
Yes, I have I have a young lady, I just talked to her yesterday. I do coaching as well, so people call and I'll talk to them about victory and help them with the steps sometimes. Because people sometimes need a little hand-holding and they need a little extra to push to help them move forward. But I've been speaking to a lady up in Maine, and she started out originally saying she wanted to just climb a mountain. She wanted to go mountain climbing. And she said, I want to do this. I've never done it, but I want to do this, and I'm afraid, I'm a little overweight, I'm not sure what to do. So we talked about it, and I said, listen, all you got to do is just one foot in front of the other. Just start walking outside. Start going up and down roadways. Start taking small hikes, small steps. She's planned it out that about a year or so from now, she's going to plan this Mount Katahdin up in Maine, very big mountain, and she's prepared to do that. And she's actually written everything down. She's spelling it out. And interesting enough, she hasn't been trying to lose weight, but she's lost 4 or 5 pounds just by trying. And she said, every now and then she has a point where she might fall down and say, you know what, man, I'm not feeling it today or whatever. And I said, you know what, take a list and write down what you have done and what goods come from it. And she made a nice list, and she told me about it yesterday. She said, you know what, I've really made some significant changes, small as it may seem. They're building up and they're adding up to be a lot. So I've had some people that have really enjoyed it.
Well, tell us if our viewers want to follow up on this. Do you have a website?
Yes, I do. It's www.michaelanese.com. So it's michaelanese.com.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being on the show, and good luck to you in the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us tonight. This has been the Smoki Bacon and Dick Concannon Show.